is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello, welcome back to the Bristol Flyers Podcast, proudly powered by WebGains. I am Joel Osborne. He is Sam Hardy. I've got producer Dan over there pushing buttons as always. Fellas, how are we doing?
Do you know what? Doing well, Jolie. It's just nice to have just me and you and Dan in the studio. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes those players get in the way, Joel.
Yeah, well, also, we've got, I was going to say we've got no guests this week because everyone's in Denmark. So yeah, just the three of us this week in the studio, but plenty for us to talk about, plenty to get through, Sam. How's your week been? You got Comedy Chess coming up this week, haven't you?
Oh, I don't like to talk too much about that on there. I don't want too many people coming. Cider Sam actually comes to the Comedy Chess now.
Really?
He's been once. He's coming again tonight, I think. Basically, I run a little comedy night. I'm not going to tell you when or where. You've never been, Joel, because you don't support me.
It's on my list to go. Producer Dan wants to come with me, is that, don't you?
I'm going to be coming this month.
This month?
As in coming. Next month.
February,
sorry.
Fine.
Because you have one tonight, don't you?
I do have one tonight, and it's going to be a good one, I think. Good little sellout. That's what we like, Joel. A bit like the Flyers. We've sold out every one we've done for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you listen to the podcast, you're going to notice it's very PG. If you go to Sam's Comedy Chest, it's very rated R. So it's like two sides of Sam Hardy.
Yeah.
If you want to see the other side of Sam Hardy, do go visit his Comedy Chest because it's great. We are going to go watch it next month, so should be exciting.
Thanks, Joel. Nice little shout out. Appreciate that. Appreciate you.
Little plug there. Producer Dan, how are you, sir? Big game last night against Svendborg Rabbits, wasn't it?
Yeah, what a night where we qualified but not quite qualified, and then we're pretty much qualified for the next for the playoffs. Yeah, what a night.
Oh, we'll get onto that a bit later on, but we made a big boo-boo, didn't we? Not ideal, but we are still waiting for a couple of other results. Oh, actually, we need one other result to go our way. So fingers crossed that result last night against Svendborg does put us in to the playoffs, but it's not guaranteed yet. Coming up on this week's show, as you say, busy week for the Flyers. We are going to talk about last night's European win in Denmark, which didn't end up securing that playoff spot in the end. We're also going to talk about the Flyers winning the trophy competition over the London Lions last week. We're going to preview this weekend's British Basketball League Trophy Final Four. Exciting times ahead. What else have we got coming up this week? And we're going to talk All-Star voting. Sam, you and I are going to make our All-Star picks.
I wouldn't know, Joel, because you've not actually emailed me across the notes. So
the notes actually are in your inbox. I did send them to you. Maybe I sent them to the wrong email.
To the wrong email, Joel.
Oh, here we go. This is live on the podcast right now. This is me sending it to the correct email address, which is your Hotmail. There you go. In your box now. And now you know what's coming up on the show, Sam.
And now everyone else knows that I do no prep and just get given me the notes and we crack on from there.
Well, this one's a bit of a weird one this week because we actually had an original plan for you on this week's show because our man on the ground from the Flyers media team, Jack Guthrie, went out with the team to Svendborg, and the original plan for the podcast this week was for him to make us some lovely packages, similar to what you did with the Poland game, and we were going to run them on this week's show. However, he was super busy last night with everything going on that he didn't have time to record them.
I just think he's lazy, Joe, if I'm honest with you, mate. Statman Jack can't defend himself, so have a go.
But we move here on the podcast, and we still got plenty coming up. We are also going to hear from Flyers head coach Andreas Kapoulas. He's going to join us on the line to reflect on last night's dub, to reflect on the whole of the European group stage campaign, because that came to an end last night. And hopefully, fingers crossed, he will have at least two more games of European basketball in the playoffs. We will see. But fellas, let's start by talking about that Denmark game, shall we? Because it was a massive win. Huge result for Flyers last night.
It was another one of those ones where by half-time it felt like we'd already done it. And I know you should never say that because we've been in plenty of situations where it's felt that way and they've come back. But we were 20 points up by the half. We were 21 points up, weren't we? I can't remember exactly.
It was very much Flyers basketball, as Coach Kate would say. Flyers cruising from start to finish. And before we actually get into the game in more detail, did you watch the Flyers TV broadcast last night, or did you catch the pre-game build-up?
Well, we were obviously... it was at 6 p.m, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I was in here with you guys at like 5:30, just chatting through some
Well,
stuff.
we actually went on air at 5:30, so.
So just before that, and then I shot home. So I missed a load. I was watching some on the bus on the way home, but I didn't catch quite everything, Joel.
So you wouldn't have caught Dan's package.
It made an appearance.
Because producer Dan got his package out again last night because
Classic Dan.
with it being our final game of our ENBL campaign, and if you regular listener to the podcast, you will know that every single week we have a European game. Producer Dan gets his package out, which essentially is an alternative guide to our visitors or our opponents for that week's game. And Producer Dan, we ran the, the Svendborg Rabbits one, right?
Correct, yeah. And I have to say, Roel Graham Bell was very impressed with my package.
He was.
He really enjoyed it.
We had RGB in the studio, and he absolutely loved Producer Dan's package. So I think it's only right that we do get the package out one more time here on the Bristol Flyers podcast. What do you think, Producer Dan?
Oh, go on then. Well, folks, it's the last away days of the regular season. However, we're not done yet, and we've hopefully got playoff away days still to come. We've been to a lot of great places on this ENBL journey, and Pleven. So where are we off to this time? Well, it's back to Denmark for the trip to Svendborg. Not in mainland Denmark, but on the island of Funen. This was crowned Denmark's Town of the Year in 2000. It's been here for the last 760 years, surviving plagues, fires, and those cheeky Swedes next door. If you're making the trip to Denmark and have a day spare before tip-off, may we recommend one of Svendborg's best attractions, Naturama. This natural history museum has it all, from a giant stuffed brown bear, experts on whales, eagles, and spiders.
Why spiders? Why couldn't they follow the butterflies?
And it's closed. They've closed the museum until February. Didn't want to see a bear anyway. Let's get outside instead. And Svendborg Golf Club. Choose between 18, 9 or a little 7-hole par 3 course. This really is one of Denmark's most beautiful courses. I'll just book us in for... Right, that's also closed. Right, does Svendborg have anything open for us? Let's just go through it, shall we? Svendborg Marina. I'm not going out on a boat in this temperature. Svendborg Water Park. Currently Svendborg Ice Park. I would suggest the high ropes at Gorilla Park, but guess what? That's closed as well. The only experience still open at this time of year is the Mossgard Whiskey Distillery. So I suppose we'll just have to sit in there, out of the cold, and have a couple of whiskies. That doesn't sound too bad, actually. Well, while we do that, I should probably tell you all about the Svendborg Rabbits. We've all seen that incredible/disgusting logo of theirs by now.
Jesus Christ! I warned you.
And the name of their arena translates to the Rabbit Hole. One-time winners of the Danish League in 2010 during a boom period that saw them compete in Euro Challenge, the Rabbits have struggled so far in this competition. Coach K and his team could be just one win away from qualifying for the next stage, so it's time to go hunting for wabbits.
I'm hunting wabbits. It's wabbit season.
And hunt those pesky wabbits we did.
That could well be your best one yet, Danny boy. How'd you find that one?
Well, do you know what? It was really hard because, like I say, everything was closed. I think they just anticipate bad weather, bad cold weather in Denmark, so they just close everything up for the winter. So it was really hard to find anything.
You get a little dig to Pleven in there at the beginning as well.
Yeah, sorry, they caught a stray there, didn't they? Sorry, boys.
Are they potentially the team, though, that if we don't get through, they'll be the ones
That's Lublin.
Oh, that is it?
Yeah.
But we beat Lublin.
Yeah, but they start Lublin if they beat Bakken Bears, or they beat someone quite big. We'll talk about it later on. We've got playoff permutations to go through as well at some point.
Can't wait.
But Sam, you'd be gutted about missing out on that golf course because that sounded quite good.
What? If it's frozen, it doesn't sound that good.
Well, not at this time of the year, but yeah. But one thing that wasn't closed was the Rabbit Hole, which of course hosted Bristol Flyers versus the Svendborg Rabbits. The Rabbit Hole was the nickname, Sam.
No, I got that. I just tried to caught me off guard there for a second.
So yeah, that wasn't closed. So the game did go ahead despite the cold weather. That's why we love playing indoor sports, Sam. But Bristol Flyers again finishing their ENBL group on a high, emphatic 86-63 win over the Rabbits. They finished with a 4-3 record. And this one, Sam, it was a real team effort, wasn't it? Because I think like 5 players finished in double figures in this one.
There was 5 or 6 at least. Everyone apart from Pasquale got on the score sheet. I was gutted. He had a couple of shots near the end there, and I really wanted him to. But yeah, it was a really decent game. It looked like a little bit at the beginning, like it was going to be a bit dodgy because Brad got 2 early fouls, didn't he?
Yeah.
First and second foul of the game. But then from that point on, we just cracked on, Jolie.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, slow start. Brad Green got those 2 early fouls. And I tell you what, who did look quite handy was that the new big man, up at Svendborg. Kevin Marfo. They brought him in quite recently. He had a big 30-point performance and 31 and 20 or something like that, double-double in his first Danish domestic game. He played the game against Spartak Pluven, which they won, Svendborg Rabbits, and then this was his third game, essentially, and he looked really handy early on in the game.
He was a tank, actually. He was like bashing people out of the way, a bit like how we feel Brad bashes people out of the way at times.
It wasn't until the end of the first quarter, though, Sam, where Flyers sort of went out to build that 10-point lead, which they never really they held it for the rest of the game. Tevin Ollison, huge in that little stretch for the back end of the first quarter. He scored like 7 in a row, didn't he?
Well, I was talking to Hells about this. She got home a little bit late yesterday when it was on, and we were losing 14-13, and by the end of the first, we were winning something like 24-14, weren't we?
That's right, exactly. And Tevin Ollison, he hit a couple of threes and a couple of nice little slices to the basket. That sort of sparked the offense for Bristol. And then second quarter, Les made it like a 20-point game from deep with 3 minutes left in the half. And then the Flyers' threes just sort of kept on falling really in the second half. And I think that's where Bristol has been at its best this season. We've had games, how many games have we spoken about this year where Bristol have just not shot the ball particularly well from the 3-point line, and we've really struggled as a result of it. But with this one, you see Trajan Jacob hitting threes, Leslie Smith hitting open three. TJ got a 4-point play at one point as well.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, and that kind of, when, first of all, when all the players are clicking on the offensive end, 5 players in double figures, a couple more, I think Tevin had 9, I think Tijon had 7 as well. When they're all clicking, it makes us really hard to guard. But also, when we're hitting threes as well, hitting good looks for three, that makes us really, really tough.
Levi is adding that extra. I know he's a stretch four. We talked about that a lot, which if you're unaware, it means that he is a 4-man, but he's able to stretch the floor a bit by bringing the big men out and shoot the three. He's really diverse, essentially, but him hitting threes is huge because it gives Brad the opportunity to go to work in the centre as well, doesn't it? Yeah,
and we saw that very briefly with RGB because he has that ability to shoot the three, but I feel like Levi is more of like that sharp shooter. That's more of his game, is like being that sort of stretch 4. Well, RGB, you sort of play him on the wing a little bit, you play him inside sometimes as well, that sort of turnaround fade away from the corner.
Yeah.
Levi Bradley is that pick and pop sort of player where if you've got 2 options now. You've got Brad rolling to the basket in a pick and roll. Now you've got Levi sort of popping out to the 3-point line. And when one of those are dropping, that makes it tough. But when both of them are playing really well, it's like pick your poison, isn't it?
Levi made a tough play last night as well. I don't know if you remember, you probably do, where someone shot the 3 and he came in and he hit that weird sort of alley-oop or put-back layup with one hand.
Yeah. I've been really impressed with Levi because he had that massive 19-point game as well in the trophy, and it's a big thing, isn't it? Because we had him on the podcast last week, but whenever anyone comes on the podcast this season, I don't know if you noticed this, just Dan, but your next game after being on the podcast as our guest, you absolutely kill it.
You're going to curse it now. We've got 2 players left minimum to come back on who haven't been on yet this season.
Yeah.
We won't say who yet, but when they come on, now they've heard that, Joel, they might have a terrible game afterwards, mate.
Well, it's a rule of thumb. Everyone who's come on, I remember Brad having a good game after he's on the podcast. Tijon Lucas had a great game after he was on the podcast. So, yeah, watch this space. We've got a couple more guests that haven't been on the podcast from the team this year, and then we'll maybe start getting them in sort of 2s or sort of taking the podcast out on the road again like we did last season. We've got quite a few good ideas actually teed up, haven't we, for like future podcast episodes.
I'm excited. It's good to keep it fresh, Joel. Keep them all guessing. But yeah, here we are.
And then just sort of rounding off this game last night with the Svendborg Rabbits. I mean, it was Flyers just cruising from then on, really, wasn't it? I mean, 28-point lead at the end of the third, and then the fourth quarter, clear the runway for Trajan Jacob, who did a little shimmy and then lefty dunk as well.
That was so tasty. And I thought he was fouled on that 4-point play, but the ref called actually a little bit later than, quite late, didn't they?
Yeah.
He was on one, mate.
Yeah, he was. He had 14.7 rebounds for our player of the game. As he mentioned, 5 players in double figures for the Flyers. Brad Green, another double-double. He's just a double-double machine, isn't he? 10 points, 10 rebounds for him.
RGB was so quick, though, to give the player of the game to TJ, wasn't it? It was just like, who do you think the player of the game should be? TJ.
Yeah, we interviewed, because obviously he couldn't really move because of his ankle, but we had him sat like right next to Sam, and Gareth and I were over in sort of that far corner of the studio doing our commentary, and he was watching it on this big screen, so we'd sort of throw to him every now and then, and we sort of we had to mute his mic when he wasn't talking, because every play he was like, yeah, go on, get in there, it's quality. Yeah, so he was like really cheering on the lads. Wasn't he, Dan? He was loving it.
He was loving it. There was a couple of
Yeah,
a couple of those in there
yeah.
at points.
On which particular play? Do you remember?
I think it was a 4-point play, and TJ's dunk was always like, ooh. Yeah. And then obviously, you couldn't hear him on the air because he was just, we had his mic on mute. But yeah, he was really, really getting into the game, which was great to see. As we mentioned, 5 players in double figs, 10 nods to 9. TJ and Lucas had 7. It was an all-round team performance. And just a couple of numbers here, Sam, for you in the team stats. Flyers, they won the rebound battle 46-38. And we all know when Flyers win the rebound battle, they pretty much win the game every time. So that was huge. And I think the big one is obviously points in the paint as well. So do you want to hear this one?
Yeah, go on.
Flyers 44 to Svendborg's 28 points in the paint.
Oh my goodness me. Turnovers?
I haven't got that in front of me because I haven't got the box score in front of me.
Joel.
But it's always going to be a long night, isn't it, when you can't get any points in the paint.
I'll also, and on that note, weirdly, they missed about 4 open layups or like nice looks.
Yeah, they did. There was they could have easily stayed with us for a bit longer, I think, because they did miss some chippies around the basket, especially in the first half, I think. But as the game sort of rolled on, you did feel that there was pretty much no chance for Svendborg to come back, really. Obviously, Dan, we've mentioned we had RGB here in the studio, and that was really good because I sort of opened the invite up to him and said, like, look, I know you're not travelling to Denmark with the lads. You're probably going to be watching the game anyway from home. There's a space in the studio if you want to join me and Gareth on the Flyers TV, and it was really good. He was like completely up for it. So I just went and picked him up and brought him down here. And I thought he was really good on air as well. What do you think, Dan?
I thought he was excellent, yeah. For somebody who'd never done it before, basically we just sent him a couple of clips of different things. Sort of, this is the kind of vibe we want to get.
Yeah.
Having seen those, he just jumped straight in. Well, if he could, but you know what I mean. He jumped straight in, but he was really good.
Was he nervous or was he all right?
I think it was great. I think he sort of started off a little bit nervous, but as the conversation flowed more as the broadcast went on, he was really offering us some great insight as well, which is exactly what we want because Gareth and I can only say a certain amount of stuff about the team, but from him being someone on the inside with the team, he's been part of the European campaign as a whole, so he can offer that extra insight as to like what it means to the guys and things like that. So I thought it was really good.
Yeah, nice.
I've opened the invite to him for any future games. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if we do have any future games in the ENBL, which gets me on to my next point quite nicely, and that is obviously it was a 4-3 record for the Flyers they finished with, which I was under the understanding that was going to secure our spot in the playoffs. But I have an apology to make to everyone at the Flyers family, and that is because when I got off air after the game last night on Flyers TV, I took my phone off of Do Not Disturb mode, and I looked at my phone, and I had text from Lasma. Of course, we've had Lasma on the show before in the past. I've had text from Maris at the ENBL, basically just saying, Joel, just a quick one. Flyers can't actually clinch a place in the playoffs for the win tonight. They have to wait until at least Thursday. Is
that what it is? It's tonight?
No, sorry, Friday. At least Friday when Back and Bears play Juventus.
So if Back and beat Juventus, we're in.
So let's get to it, okay?
Before you do, let's go back to that because when you saw that, you've been talking about it all of the whole broadcast.
It completely ruined our whole entire broadcast, yeah.
But how did you have one of those moments of like,
I'll tell you what happened, Sam. We got off air, me and RGB were chatting, and then as we were chatting, we just heard Joel go, and that was it, and we knew. We were like, oh no, something bad's happened.
Yeah, I was reading my text messages and catching up. Obviously, Jack was out there in Poland as well, in Denmark as well, and he was messaging me, and he was basically saying, oh yeah, the league's just been in touch, and they about to put out a web story, so I'm going to put out a web story now from Flyers and just confirm what they're confirming.
To say that we're wrong, basically, is that what they league put out?
We made a bit of an error, like we can't actually. Although it's like, there is basically, here's the situation. There's one scenario, which is quite unlikely, that would mean 4 teams are tied with a 4-win, 3-loss record. So that would be us, Back and Bears, Lublin, and Tartu.
So, the thing is, though, Bakken, who are awesome, have to lose 2 more games, right?
So, here's exactly the games that are coming up. So there's 4 games left in Group A of the competition. The first one is tomorrow night, the 26th, Juventus hosting Back and Bears. If Bakken Bears beat Juventus, we're in. The only way that we do not advance to the playoffs is there's a 4-way tie. If there's a 3-way tie, we're in.
Are we able to finish anything other than 4th? I know 5th, but are we able to finish anywhere other than 4th? Can we go 3rd?
Yeah, we can finish 3rd in our group. Now, the ENBL put out this release last night, which confirms everything we need to know. It's all the qualifying scenarios in Group A. 3 teams, which are Juventus, Bakken, and Tartu, have already qualified for the playoffs. The 4th space is between us and Start Lublin. Bristol Flyers will qualify if there are 3 teams with a 4-3 record. So that's us, Tartu, and Lublin. So that in that case, if a 3-way tie happens, we'll finish 3rd, Tartu finish 4th, and Lublin finish 5th.
So we want that, really?
But that would mean we play whoever's 2nd in Group B in the playoffs. The way I would say it to Flyers fans is Flyers will not qualify if there's a 4-way tie. Anything else, we're in.
And it just depends on whether we're 3rd or 4th, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, and we just got to wait until all the games have been played.
But we can find out tomorrow, potentially.
Yeah, if Bakken on again, this game's on Friday, I think it is. If Bakken beat Juventus away from home on Friday, we're in.
What were you all crying about?
There we go. So that's your little playoff clinching scenarios in the easiest possible way. Nice and easy there. But yeah, apologies for that last night because we were all under the impression that a win was going to secure it. However, there is that one scenario, the pesky scenario, that means that we would finish outside of the top 4.
I enjoyed that, though. I enjoyed that you yourselves figured it out and went, or whatever, and went, we may have got ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
And then there's that fan from, was it Newcastle, was like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah, this is embarrassing. Well, actually, we corrected ourselves, so not too embarrassing.
That's well embarrassing, Joel. That's awkward, mate. You should lose your job.
Just a quick breakdown on how the playoffs work just going forward. So the 4 best teams from each group then qualify for the postseason playoffs, which is aggregate score. Sam loves aggregate score, which basically means they add up the scores from 2 games and whoever's on top after 2. It's like 80-minute games, isn't it? 80-minute game of basketball.
What and is it that the team who finishes higher has the 2nd home game?
Oh, they have the choice. So
Oh, really?
yeah. So whoever has the higher seed gets the choice of how they want to do it.
Do we know if it's weekday games, weekend games? Like, are they the week before, then the week after? Like, how does it work?
So there'll be very similar days of the week to what the whole regular season has been. The best of 2 series, they've called it, but it's aggregate score. It takes place from February 15th until March 20th. So if you're looking to put dates in your diary, it could be anywhere from mid-Feb to mid-March. And obviously, if Flyers make the playoffs, once we know the opponent, we will then go on the website and socials and put out the dates of the 2 legs. So all fans will know. And if fans want to travel, they can book flights, etc. as well. But as soon as we know, and it's all confirmed, you will know at bristolflyers.co.uk. So hopefully that's cleared up the playoff clinching scenarios for you. And obviously it was a massive win last night for the Bristol Flyers, and we're very pleased to say that joining us on the line right now is none other than Flyers head coach Andreas Kapoulas. Andreas, how's it going?
Hi, Joe. How are we doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Congratulations on the result last night. You must be really proud of the team's performance last night out there.
Yeah, thank you. Very proud. You know, I mean, not just for the performance yesterday, just across the whole competition, really, starting, with our first away game in Cleveland and certainly, the performance that we put yesterday, we were able to run away from them in the first quarter and never look back. And, obviously getting a winning record in our first year in European competition and 3 of those wins being on the road as well, I think it speaks highly of our team.
You must be excited that 100%, without a shadow of doubt, we've got through to the playoffs, coach.
Yeah. Well, I think we jumped the gun a little bit there, right? So,
yeah.
We had worked out all the triple ties. I think we hadn't worked all the quadruple ties potential. So, so from what we understand, Bakken have 2 games remaining away at Juventus and home to Lampstead. And then Lublin are playing Lampstead as well. So, from our perspective, if Bakken can beat Juventus or Lampstead, then we're through. Or if Lampstead beat Lublin. So there is kind of 3 results. We need one of them to go our way for us to go through. there is a possibility of us finishing third. There's a possibility of us finishing fourth or to be out of the playoffs. But again, this is a little bit out of our control. So we just got to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and just talking about the game last night, because I mean, you mentioned it there, but it was a real team effort, wasn't it? Because no one scored higher than 14 points. The points were shared out evenly. You think you had like Tevin on 9, Tijan on 7. It was a real team effort out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely was. I think it has been very difficult for us because we've played a lot of these games without our full roster. And yesterday, obviously, we're still missing Royal with an injury, but to have 10 guys, it shows our strength in our numbers, and we've got guys that can make an impact on both ends of the floor, and we're not just relying on one player putting all the points. So certainly it was great to see guys sharing the scoring load, and also, different guys coming in and contributing on the defensive end as well. So, yeah, it was a solid performance yesterday. Winning on the road is not an easy thing. And I thought yesterday we made it look very comfortable.
You mentioned just looking at the group stage as a whole, just reflecting on the group stage. You mentioned the 3 wins away from home. Just talk us through how these European road trips have been able to bring you guys together closer as a group.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has been going away. It has been a break from the domestic fixtures, and certainly early on in the season, the camaraderie, traveling together, finding out things about each other, spending quality time, not just on the practice or game day, but just like throughout the day. I think that has been very important, and certainly winning on the road as well. Our first away win in Pliven, which was a historic night for the club, and then the Lublin, the spectacular performance that we put there to beat them by 22 points, and certainly coming all together in that Svendborg trip. So yeah, playing away from home, I think that has been very important for guys coming together and just kind of overall as a team. And we had to do it with different guys not being able to play. I mean, again, like a lot of people forget, like Tizon and Kiri have been out for 2 months. There's not a lot of teams with their lead guards out for that long and still be able to get good results. So it has been the European games, and hopefully we can progress now to the playoffs. I think for us it has been something really, really good. It was, we started the competition thinking let's find out what it takes on and off the court, and there we are with a winning record, 3 road wins, and some great performances.
Yeah, it really has been great sort of covering the team in Europe in that first sort of European adventure in the ENBL this season. Just talk us through, just give us a bit of insight as to what you guys are doing now, because obviously you had the game that finished last night. Have you landed back in the UK now?
Yeah, so we literally landed like less than an hour ago. So yeah, we woke up this morning, had breakfast, and then we had to take the bus ride from Svendborg to Copenhagen, and then catch the flight there to Heathrow. And we're on the bus now on our way back, probably maybe like an hour and a half away from home. So yeah, it's been a bit of a long day, but at least we were able to get a good night's sleep, and obviously we got a good result yesterday as well.
And you've now got 11 days until you have to play again. Is that a good time for you to almost get some sort of rest and recoup for the players, or is that a tough time because you don't have, you lose a little bit of the form you've been on?
No, we think it's a good thing. I mean, everyone needs a little bit of a mental break. We had to deal with a few of the injuries that we've mentioned a few times. So I think for us, just using those 2 or 3 days, everyone can spend a little bit of time, get some rest, and then we're going for the final stretch of the season, really. We've got that game on Sunday, so it's a weekend off, and then back to work on Monday.
I was going to say, it's a rare weekend for you without any games. Have you got much planned for your weekend without hoops?
Yeah, I do actually. It's the proper first weekend off for me personally. Usually, like on the weekends, you'll be doing a scout and preparing for the games ahead. But because the game is not till Sunday, we're going to have a little bit of a downtime. So I'm going to be going away to Bath for a couple of days, spend a little bit of time with my wife.
Lovely.
Love that.
Sounds perfect. I think everyone's looking forward to that rare weekend off because, like you say, we don't really get much time off during the regular season. Andreas, thank you so much for your time on the phone. We'll let you crack on with the rest of your journey. And thanks a lot for joining us. We'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you, guys.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hey Flyers fans, we want to say a huge thank you to our sponsors WebGains, who help make this podcast possible. WebGains is an affiliate marketing network who bring businesses and affiliates together to grow and succeed.
The Bristol Flyers are all about teamwork, and that's exactly what WebGains are about too. They're like the assist that helps your business score big.
Are you an aspiring entrepreneur or have a business of your own that sells products online? If so, WebGains is here to help. They connect businesses with top affiliates, from cashback giants like Top Cashback to niche bloggers in your vertical, who can promote your products and services, reaching a wider audience and driving more revenue.
And here's the slam dunk, Flyers fans. WebGains provides you with detailed reports and analytics to track the performance of your affiliate marketing campaigns, making it easy to see results of your hard work and investments.
Whether you're a local business or an international brand, WebGains has the expertise and network to take your marketing efforts to the next level. They're passionate about helping businesses grow, just like we're passionate about our team's success, Sam.
So if you're ready to skyrocket your online presence and drive more sales, visit webgains.com and see how they can assist you in scoring big in the world of affiliate marketing.
That's webgains.com, webgains.com. Give your business the assist it needs with WebGains Affiliate Network.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Right, Sam, it's time for us to look at what's been going on around the British Basketball League as we get to the news.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Well, that didn't go to plan, did it?
You were so excited to the news.
I played the wrong button, didn't I? Oh, we've all been there. Everyone makes mistakes.
2 and 2 days for you though, Joel.
Brilliant. Not had a good sign. I need a weekend off is what I need.
Is that what it is? What has
Yeah.
Ad been doing this weekend then, Jolie?
I don't know. You don't really get a weekend off very much, so sometimes it's good to just sit and watch TV and just chill. Tell you what I've been watching recently. The Traitors. You watching The Traitors? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I won't spoil it for anyone that's listening and behind or anything, but oh my God, how good is The Traitors this season?
I didn't. So last night I was watching the Flyers and then we watched Liverpool play. So I
Yeah.
didn't watch the Traitors last night. So I need to catch up on that.
Oh, I watched it. It's good. I'm all caught up. It's very, very good indeed.
Before we get off the traitors, who in the squad would be the best traitor?
Oh,
That's
great
a
question.
great question. Leslie Smith.
Leslie
Do you reckon?
Smith. Leslie Smith.
I don't know.
Because you've got to be trustworthy enough for people to go, "I won't be him. He couldn't possibly be him." But actually, he's a little sneaky boy.
Nick Burns.
Yeah.
I think Nick Burns would be a great traitor.
I'll tell you
if
who'd
we're
be
playing
good.
Traitors.
Corey.
Big Christian talks about that all the time, and then he's a sneaky little traitor in the background, Joe. Yeah, definitely Corey.
That'd be good. Well, if anyone's watching The Traitors, let us know which Bristol Flyers player you think would be a great traitor. Tweet us at Bristol Flyers or just message us on all major platforms at Bristol Flyers. Right, here's a look at the news. Time for us to get to the news section. The big news this week was not only Flyers winning in Europe, but also Newcastle Eagles won in Europe and the London Lions won in Europe for a 3-0 week for British Basketball League teams on the European stage.
That's so good, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, London Lions taking on Besiktas in the Euro Cup as a massive win for them. And here's something that tickled my fancy on social media. Sam, did you hear the thousands of Besiktas fans down at the Copper Box Arena last week?
Well, I know I saw something about 2,500 tickets were sold to the away fans, which is crazy, isn't it?
Yep. This is the sound of 2,000 Besiktas fans descending on the Copper Box in London. Have a listen to this. Now, this is 2,000 Besiktas fans just entering the Copper Box Arena. They've got police escort as well, by the way, out there in London. You just know how much they love their basketball out there. And they came in their numbers to the Copper Box and really made it a great atmosphere in that game.
It's not just that. What's really cool, I suppose, by being London is that London's a really desirable place for people to visit. And so, like, some of the places we've gone in the nicest way, like, I've never really heard of them before. Some of the cities are quite small, but if you're London and people are like, right, I'm going to do a away game, that'd be a great place to go. So it's kind of an obvious choice for people, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. It really was. It really was great. I mean, if you look at the final score, London Lions beating Besiktas 93 points to 72.
They killed them
To get a big dub for them in the Euro Cup. If we look at Group B of the ENBL, by the way, Newcastle Eagles also faced off against Royal Liège at the Virtue Motors Arena earlier this week. They won 100 points to 92. And I don't know if you saw the roster that Newcastle put out, because you know how Newcastle have been battling injuries sort of similar to us this season.
Go on.
They had 6 senior players playing, and they put 3 academy players out there, and they still won by 8 points.
Did any of their academy players get any minutes or not?
I tell you what, there were some really good performances, actually. Justin Hopkins played 20 minutes, had 6 points for them.
Fair play to them. That is a tough ask. And is their injury problem still continuing, Joel?
They put out a thing with an injury update. They're hoping to get guys back to full strength in time for the restart of the league campaign. So that's really exciting. If you look at the Group B of the ENBL, by the way, Newcastle, that win puts them up into 5th. So they still have a chance to make the playoffs themselves. Valmiera Glass have not won a game. They're 0-7. And Brasket Brno from the Czech Republic, they are 1-5 in their group. So it could come, I mean, Kylia Coulbet also have an outside chance of making it in the playoffs as well. But Newcastle Eagles, I really hope they make it, to be honest, because I'd love to see 2 British teams in the ENBL both making it out their groups. That'd be a great story, wouldn't it?
I mean, do they have an all right chance of doing it? It's not like an outside chance.
Yeah, no, they'll need some results to go their way as well. But Newcastle right now are 3-2, so they have 2 more games to go. So yeah, watch this space. I imagine if they win their last 2 games, they go 5-2, they'll probably make the playoffs. So
are they playing against any of the teams above them?
Well, let's take a look at the schedule, shall we? In Group B, and Newcastle Eagles, as we say, have 2 more games left in their group. The first one is on the 31st of January when they take on Kylia Coulbet away from home, who are towards the bottom of the table. So that should be a great opportunity for them to pick up another win. Their final game is against Zielona Góra in the group stage, and they are currently sitting in 3rd with 4-1 record. So that it could come down to that last game for them.
That's a huge game. Yeah.
So we're all supporting you, Newcastle, in your ENBL campaign. I hope you're supporting Bristol Flyers as well in their ENBL campaign. And who knows, may even see each other in the ENBL playoffs if all things go to plan. Right, other news to get to around the league. So love to see all the British teams winning in Europe. The British Basketball League trophy came to an end for Bristol Flyers last week. We played our last game. Obviously, we were coming in off the win over the Manchester Giants away from home in that sort of dead rubber game. We played London Lions at home, and I know they put out a sort of a weakened squad or some of their sort of second, like their reserve players, but it was a very professional performance in the end by Bristol Flyers, coming out with a healthy win.
Just a really mature, they just did what they had to do, and they smashed them by 20 points in the end, which is crazy.
Considering the team that London put out, you probably would have expected Flyers to win. But you got to remember, they still had Grantham playing.
Yeah.
They still had Quealy playing. Nelson was still playing. They gave some good minutes to their youngsters as well, which is good because if you've got a roster that deep, you may as well do that for them. But yeah, really comfortable performance for Flyers to round out their trophy campaign. Obviously, they can't qualify for the Final Four, which is this weekend. Big performance from Levi Bradley, by the way, in that game. 19 points, and he earned himself a space in the British Basketball League Team of the Week.
He was unreal in that game. It's just the one that got me, I loved it, was the buzzer beater for the shot clock where he's just stood there and he takes his little swishes in. He's like really under pressure. The referees actually called it as a 3-pointer and then changed their mind.
They corrected it, didn't they? They corrected it to a 2 in the end. But Levi Bradley just... Yeah, I think he's really settled into the team now. He's been here for 3 weeks now. Obviously, he knows the system already. We spoke about that on the podcast last week. So, yeah, it's great to see. And Flyers finishing their trophy campaign with a win, which means we've won 3 straight wins now in all competitions. But we will not be taking part in this weekend's trophy Final Four, which is a new concept this year, having the Final Four, the semi-finals on Saturday, the final on Sunday. It's our chance to sort of look ahead to that one. It should be an exciting weekend, Sam.
I'm excited. I'm going to sit and watch a bit of it. I think, Joel, we do have Bears versus Bath down here on the Saturday, though, so that's going to be a big one. But I want to see what's going to happen. My prediction in the final is going to be... Wait, what are the semi-finals again?
So, here we go. Saturday, January 27th is the final four, it's the semi-finals. The first game is London Lions versus Caledonia Gladiators. That's a 3:30 p.m. tip-off.
London win that, I think, Joel. That's my prediction.
The second game is Cheshire Phoenix versus Leicester Riders, which is a 6 p.m. tip-off.
This is tougher. I think
Now, Cheshire have had London's number all season long. Leicester's number all season long. Leicester haven't beaten them yet this season.
they've not.
But
they didn't have Teddy Buckets.
They didn't have Teddy Buckets. So it'd be interesting to see what happens this time around. Depends what Cheshire team turns up, I reckon.
Depends who turns up on the day, Joel.
Yeah, it'd be exciting. You can catch that all, both games, and the final, which takes place the day after on Sunday, the 28th, for a 3:30 p.m. tip-off. You can watch all three of those games of the Final Four live on Sky Sports YouTube channel for free. And if you're a fan base in the US, you can check with your local regional network. Of course, we've announced a whole bunch of regional networks that are streaming, showing the British Basketball League this season. So, yeah, do check it out. British Basketball League Trophy, semi-finals and final this weekend. All the Final Four. It's a cool new concept. I love how the league's taken a massive break through January, so everyone knows that this is all trophy games, group stage, knockout, and, culminating in the Final Four at the Utilita Arena in Birmingham. Right, got a couple of signing announcements to go through here. The Sheffield Sharks have been active. Malik Green, he made his debut last week in the trophy.
The third green in the league, Joel.
Oh, mate, I tell you what, we're picking up all the greens. Make sure you eat your greens in the British Basketball League. I mean, you got Taj Green, you got the Green down in Plymouth. What's his name? Terrell Green.
Oh, there's a fourth green then.
Yeah, you got Brad Green.
Taj Green.
You can have a green starting lineup at this rate. And the Plymouth City Patriots, they've signed Cameron Copeland. So he's a 6'7" wing on their roster, 23 years old, from Georgia in the USA. So it'd be exciting to see what he brings to the team, because I felt like they really needed a boost into their backcourt. So we will see, Sam. Right, we have to talk about All-Star picks, and we all know the British Basketball League All-Star Game is right around the corner. Voting has been open now for the last couple of weeks, and you can still vote for your All-Star 5s over at the British Basketball League website. Last week, producer Dan made his All-Star picks. He picked an All-5 South lineup for the Team South, all for Bristol Flyers, but you can vote for anyone you want. And he made his North picks as well. You can go check them out on our previous episode. The league has revealed the results of voting for week 2 so far. So in the North, starting off with the North, Larry Austin Jr. leads the percentage of votes for the guards. He has 42%. Taj Green leads the way in the forward position. Jordan Johnson and Jamel Anderson are also in the vote leaders, alongside Ethan Chagwar of the Cheshire Phoenix. There's a few players just outside. Aaron Rye is just outside. He's got 25% of the votes. Mike Bothwell has 18% of the votes. But we don't care about the North here on the Bristol Flyers podcast. We only care about Team South. And I can say that Levi Bradley is still third in the forwards voting. He has 16% of the votes. And Brad Green, just a single percent outside of the starting centre position. He has 21% of the votes. Gabe Olaseni has 22%. So you know what you need to do. You need to go to the British Basketball League website. You need to go vote for your All-Star starters, and make sure you vote for Bradley and Green in your 5 to put them into the starting 5s. I can also tell you that Trajan Jacob is the other Flyers player sitting just outside of the top 4 in votes. He's got 10% of the votes. Kimball McKenzie's in 4th, has 11. So every vote counts. So if you haven't made your votes yet, go to the British Basketball League website and vote for your All-Star starters. Which gets us on to our nice point now, because producer Dan's made his All-Star picks. And Sam, we're going to run through our All-Star picks right now. Who have you got in your Team North and South starters?
So just to be clear to everyone, when I've actually voted, Joel, and I've actually done my email and all the rest of it, I've done a 5-flyer team because I want to see as many in there as possible, okay?
Yeah.
But what I've done is I've gone back, I've opened it up again, and I've chosen...
who you'd like to see, to make a good All-Star game.
But not only that, I've done one player from each team.
Oh, okay.
So
I haven't done that. I haven't done that at all.
You can do whatever you want, but I'm going to go for, I want highlights, and I've gone for one, every single team has got someone in my one, okay? That's what I've done. Is that all right?
Yeah, who you got?
So, should we go North first?
Yeah.
We've got Bennett Cook.
Ugh.
Just because I want to see some big, dunks, mate, from him.
Good start to say at his pick.
Oh, there's another forward on that team, another centre on that team that's got more highlight plays, and a certain Delpesh.
Yeah.
No?
He's not getting enough minutes for me this year, Joel.
Yeah, but he can catch lobs and make it more entertaining for an All-Star game, I feel.
Show me the lobs that he's got from this year on a highlight reel.
That is true. They don't run much pick and roll from Marcus Delpesh, but we all know what he can do.
Yeah, I know he can, but that's what I've gone with, okay? Okay, we've got Maceo Jack.
Yeah.
We've got DeVille Ramsey.
Okay.
We've gone Taj Green. And we've
Hang on,
gone...
you've got DeVille Ramsey, but you've also picked Bennett Cook there. You've got two Sharks.
Oh, I messed that up. Okay.
So who have you missed out? Someone from Caledonia?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to... Okay, we'll go Ali
Hodzic.
Ali Hodzic then, yeah.
Oh, so you're getting rid of Bennett Cook?
Yeah, bye. Well, because I love
See ya.
DeVille Ramsey. He's a good player, mate.
Okay.
And then finally, Jamal Anderson from Manchester.
Okay, interesting.
Who's your North team?
Okay, so my North team, I've got Larry Austin in the guard position.
Standard.
I've got Maceo Jack in the guard position. In the forwards position, I've gone with William Lee. I've also got Aaron Rye. And at the centre, I've got Clifton Moore.
Who have you gone from the South?
Right, Team South, here's the important one. Again, I have my actual votes. I've obviously voted all 5 Flyers players. But for Team South, this is, I've gone with the guys that I think are most realistically likely to make the All-Star 5. And in the centre position, I've also obviously gone with Brad Green. Now, everyone would say, like, oh, why have you gone Brad Green? He wouldn't be great in the All-Star game. Have you seen his threes?
Last year he got 25% from 3.
Brad's going to knock down... If you vote Brad Green in the All-Star game, he'll be knocking down threes, I promise you.
Oh, yeah, because he can just do what he wants.
Yeah, he can do what he wants. It'll be funny.
Yeah, nice. I like that.
Just give it to Brad Green and watch him shoot. So I've got Brad Green as my centre. At the guard position, I've gone with Matt Morgan. I think he is probably the front runner for league MVP right now, if the league was to end today. I've got Trajan Jacob, who needs your votes because he's sitting outside the top 4. But also with TJ, he can stretch the floor with his threes. He can drive inside and dunk it. He is an all-star type of player. I've gone Teddy Allen, Teddy Buckets. I think everyone's going with Teddy Buckets. He only played a few games, but I mean, he'd make a great all-star. And I've got another Leicester Riders player here for my final forward, and that is Myron Thomas.
Fair enough.
I've been very impressed with Myron Thomas this season.
It's gonna be a good. That'd be a good matchup. That would be.
Yeah. So that's my 5. Who have you got in the South, Sam?
So I've gone London Lions, Josh Sharma. Big dunks.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
You want to see an athletic rim running big for the All-Star game?
That's it. We've gone obviously Trajan Jacob for some sexy threes and some big dunks as well.
Yeah.
Plymouth, we've gone TJ Atwood. He's a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
For obviously Teddy Buckets from Leicester.
Yeah.
And I then had to have another big in there.
Another forward.
Yeah. And that's Surrey, and I've gone with experienced Teo Ogadengbi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't forget, you can do your picks right now over the British Basketball League website. So if you want to vote for who you want to make in the All-Star starters, make sure you do it, and you can share your picks on socials. It makes a cool graphic, and yeah, you can like share it on socials with your friends as well.
I've got 3 email addresses, Joel, so I'm going to do all 3 of them.
There we go. Yeah, if you've got more email addresses, you can make more email addresses. So we're going to make one for producer Dan over there, and yeah, it'd be great. So that's our All-Star picks, and the last bit of news we have to get through is we haven't actually announced this yet. I think we're announcing this on Friday, but not next week, the weekend after. Bristol Flyers, the men's team and the women's team, are doing a double head-up down at SGS Wise campus. So we are, Bristol Sport are taking, we're running it like a normal match day.
Yep.
Everything we do for the British Basketball League team, I like to say the wrong words there, everything we do for the British Basketball League team, we'll be doing for the women's team. So you'll be down there doing PA, we will be doing tickets on the website, but they'll be free. So you've got to go on and just buy a ticket in the way that you would. It's a free ticket. In the way that you would do. We'll have the merch stand there. We'll have the music there. We'll be live streaming the game. So it'd be exactly the same way we're running the men's game as well. And we're hoping to get a packed house in there to support the women as they take on Loughborough Riders.
It's a bit of a tricky one. But it's going to be amazing, but a tricky one because we sold out of all the men's tickets before we went on sale with the women's one. So if you're going to get a women's one, that doesn't necessarily mean you're also going to the men's game.
Yeah.
But that's fine. We still want your support down there. So head on down on that day. That's going to be a busy old weekend, Joel, that is.
Oh, yeah. We've got the day of the game before as well, haven't we? So it was a big Flyers British Basketball League doubleheader, and we're throwing the women's game in the middle. So yeah, go check it out. All the info will be on the website from Friday at bristolflyers.co.uk. Flyers women taking on Loughborough Riders. We'd love to see you there, and let's make it a packed house like we do for the men's team. That's it for the news. I've done it again. Oh my God, I've done it again. That's it for the news.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Oh my God, it's been a long week, isn't it?
You're not allowed to edit those ones out, Joe. You got to keep those ones in there.
Oh yeah, we'll keep it in there, I guess. But yeah, that's it for this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers Podcast. And next week, Sam, we're going to have a guest back in the studio. We've got a choice of 2 players. We've got Keely Johnson, who we haven't had yet, and we've got Tevin Ollison. So watch this space. One of those will hopefully, touch wood, be with us here in the studio next week. But until then, Sam, anything else you want to add before we wrap up this week's episode?
Nope. Very good. Dan Boy, anything from you?
All good from me.
All good from Sam. All good from Dan. Thank you, fellas, for joining us on the podcast as always. Dan, thanks for pushing the buttons. Shout out to WebGains, the official podcast sponsor of the Bristol Flyers podcast. Up the WebGains. We're going to have them here in the studio soon at some point down the line, aren't we?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So we'll find out more about affiliate marketing. And don't forget, if you are listening to the podcast on all major podcast providers and YouTube, to give us a rating and a review, like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. But that's it. We'll see you next week here on the Bristol Flyers podcast, powered by WebGains. Peace!